What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 3. So, this overall was a good episode. It was a very good episode because I enjoy watching the reception, watching people having a good time, the dancing, people getting kind of drunk. I really enjoy this episode because that's saying a lot. Because with Married at First Sight, even the wedding days can be a huge hit or miss. For example, the one who shall not be named from season 14, Boston, who on the wedding day, she was already in a funky mood. She was really upset that she wasn't attracted to her husband. She talked about her husband's teeth. She didn't want to talk to him. She didn't want to vibe with anybody. She didn't want to be in the same universe as him. And so the wedding day was just, it was spoiled, it was ruined, it was downhill from there. So it's nice to have a wedding day where, for the most part, the couples are genuinely happy with one another. So let's get into it. Kristen and Mitch. So Kristen, we're at the part where she's telling her dad, what she's really doing. This is a show about being married to a stranger. I don't know who he is. I'm going to meet him the same time you meet him. So are you down? Are you going to walk me down the aisle? So the father, he acts like he's very hesitant about it. But at the end of the day, he says yes. He's going to walk her down the aisle. The dad said, well, you tried the more traditional way. It didn't work out for you. So what the hell? Let's go for it. So Mitch says that he never really wanted a big wedding. All this hoopla is just not for him. He wanted something very small, very casual. So something on this scale is just a little bit too much for him. So we have Mitch at the altar waiting for Kristen to walk down the aisle. And the wedding party walks down, the bridesmaids, all of that. And then Kristen's mother comes down the aisle to take her seat. And as soon as Mitch saw her walking down the aisle, he asked the officiant, he was like, is that my wife? And he asked in a way that made me think that if the officiant had said yes, Mitch probably would have kicked his heels in the air and hoot and hollered. But the officiant said, no, that is not your wife. That is the mother of the bride. But the mother of the bride, she's gorgeous. Kristen's mother is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, she had a hot pink, body-fitting, lacy, almost see-through wedding gown. Of course, it had like a lining underneath, but you get the drift. And this woman was hot. She was really hot. She had a nice shape. She had a pretty face, beautiful hair, this hot pink dress. It's like, whoa, mama. And I don't know if Kristen's parents are still married. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but I don't think they are. You know what? I don't think they are. But her mother was really, really pretty. So anyways, Mitch had sent Kristen a little goodie bag or whatever, and in the goodie bag was her engagement ring, and she really liked the engagement ring. I liked it too. I thought it was a very pretty ring. So she finally comes down the aisle, and when he saw her, I think he had more of a reaction with the mother than he did with Kristen. And sometimes we'll see the grooms when they see their brides coming down the aisle, we'll see them like take a breath or gasp or say, oh my God, because they just can't believe how beautiful their bride is. But like I said, he had more of a reaction towards his mother-in-law than he did towards his bride. So she comes down the aisle, and he really doesn't have a reaction. And when they're at the altar together, she compliments him on being handsome, and he doesn't compliment her at all. And I feel like even if you don't think that she's the most gorgeous woman in the world, even if her beauty doesn't knock you off her feet, be civil, be polite, make her feel at ease, and say, something very nice. Say, oh, you're gorgeous too, or you're beautiful too, or you look really nice today, or something. Come on, Mitch, give us something. He's one of those people, I think, that really tries to keep it real, and he doesn't, because he said he's not a BSer. He doesn't want to BS anybody. He gives it to you, straight, no chaser. And sometimes that can really backfire. I think it can backfire more than not, because you still live in a civilized society, and you still have to consider other people's feelings, and you can't always be that upfront. But anyway, so he doesn't compliment her, and I definitely noticed that. And so somebody in the audience told her that, she was beautiful. And then that's when he said, "Oh, yes, I agree," or something like that. So, as the officiant is reading the notes that the families provide to let, the other spouse know, more about who they're marrying, when it came time to read Mitch's notes, his family had said that he's very passionate about the environment. He's very passionate about saving the planet. And I don't know if passionate is the correct word. He might be kind of militant about it, because the way he talks about, saving the planet and conservation and all of that, like, that's when you really see his eyes light up. That's when he gets really excited. So when it comes time to kiss, I didn't think he was going to kiss her, but he did ask her if it was okay to kiss her. She said yes. And so they went ahead and they kissed. When they had their one-on-one, she asked him what he did for a living. He said that he does environmental policy. She says that, she's all for that, but I think she's all for that like the way the rest of us are all for that. We try to recycle and we try to pick up our after ourselves, and, we care about it to a certain point. But I think with Mitch, because it's his passion, it's his job, he's like extreme. He's like on the extreme end of environmentalism. So when she says, "Oh yeah, I'm about that too. I'm about clean beaches and recycling," I don't think she's all about that on the same level that he is. Kristen is hot for Mitch. Okay, she thinks he is absolutely the bee's knees. She loves the fact that he's tall, he's bald, he has a beard. Physically, he is everything that she could have wanted and more. Now, she talked about, crazy Kristen. I think when she was talking to her bridesmaids or something, like, she needed to control herself and she didn't want to turn into crazy Kristen, meaning that I felt like she meant that at times she gets really into her relationships or really into her man, that she becomes maybe obsessive, maybe she becomes too clingy. And so she's trying to pace herself and she's trying to control herself because she really likes this guy a whole hell of a lot. And that's kind of scary if she turns into crazy Kristen, because he seems like someone who'd be really turned off by that clinginess, that obsessive nature that people get about their partners. He seems like, he's not down for that at all. Some men might think it's a compliment, but that man is not Mitch. So it comes time for them to take their pictures. The pictures were fine. I like the pictures. His friend asked him, at the moment when it was Kristen's turn to take pictures with her family, and he was able to walk away, and he went to his friend and his brother, and his friend and brother asked him if he was happy. Basically, are you happy with your choice? And Mitch said, "I don't know. It's a little bit too early to tell," which is absolutely true. It's too early to tell, but we know from him saying that he is not that physically attracted to her, because our other couples, when they were asked, what do you think? What do you think? They were like, "Oh my God, he's so hot," or "Oh my God, I really like her. She's so beautiful." Nick was like, "I don't know. It's too early to tell." So the sparks are really not there for Mitch. Did I call him Nick? I meant Mitch. So Mitch in his confessional, he says that she's pretty, but I wasn't blown away. He says, my type is less physical and more lifestyle. So he's more attracted to how a woman conducts her lifestyle or conducts her life than he is about her looks. So you could look like, SpongeBob SquarePants, as long as you are very passionate or militant about the environment and keeping the earth clean, you've stolen his heart. So he doesn't really care about the physical. He wants to see how you are living your life. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know what she's going to do, because, like I said, her environmentalism is like more on the average side and not the more militant side. So if she's not clubbing litter bugs upside the head with the baseball bat, he ain't attracted to her. So Mitch said that he also likes the natural type, and he says that Kristen was a little bit more done up than he would have wanted. And it's like, Mitch, this is your wedding day. I think you can allow her to put on a little bit of lip gloss and a little bit of mascara. This is your wedding day, okay? She can't show up in a jogging suit or, some torn up pants and a dirty t-shirt. This is your wedding day, okay? She has to be a little bit presentable. And I thought that she wasn't even done up that much, because we have seen some extreme makeup applications out there. And I thought that her makeup, everything about her was a little bit more on the natural side. Her makeup was very light. Her dress was very simple. Nothing about her was like over the top or looked like, it took her, 10 hours to get ready. She looked really soft, really pretty. To me, she did look very natural, but it wasn't natural enough for Mitch. I don't know what the hell he was expecting. I guess he expected her to just wake up with bed hair, not brush her teeth, put on some slippers, and then show up at the altar. But then he was blown away by her mother. Her mother was more made up than she was. And Nick looked, I mean, I keep on calling him Nick. And Mitch looked like, he was, I'm not going to say attracted, but he looked like he was more impressed by the mother. So he did say that she was voluptuous. I don't know what he meant by that, because sometimes I could be like, an underhanded, it could be like underhanded shade to say, oh, she's voluptuous. Like, what do you mean by that? Because she is not fat by any stretch of the imagination. So the first dance, Kristen said that she was very comfortable with him, very comfortable being in his arms, and that she's obviously very attracted to him. And Mitch said that, I'm glad you took your heels off, because I just wanted to see you more natural. Like, I really want to see how you are in sweats. That's what he said to her. Those heels were really bothering him. Her wearing those heels was really bothering him. I don't know what is going on with Mitch. Like, okay, this is your wedding day, Mitch. She's going to be a little bit more dressed up than she normally is on a Saturday morning. Like, what do you expect? Like, how do you want her to dress, like at a job interview? You want her to just to show up in some rags? Where do you want her to dress, like at a important event or like at a funeral or something? Like, how do you want her to dress? He was like really bothered, saying that she was just really too made up for him. But it's your wedding day. Have you ever been to a wedding? So and then Mitch says that, he doesn't want to raise his expectations too high, because in the past his relationships have been like, he'll meet a woman and then he'll project all of his, high expectations on her, and then when she doesn't live up to those expectations, he bounces. So he doesn't want to do that with her. He doesn't want to put, he doesn't want to create these really high expectations, then he gets disappointed. I feel like he kind of sort of is already creating that, because he already wants her a certain way, with the more natural look. Like, he's really honing in on that. So I kind of think he is. Like, if she is the kind of person that wakes up on a Saturday or Sunday morning and wants to put on a little bit of makeup and, heaven forbid, brush her hair, is he going to flip out because that's not what he expected her to be like? He expected her to be like, what? Anyways, so, Mitch doesn't. Okay, so Mitch is also, he says he's very bothered by her dress because it's too done up. It was too much for him. Once again, Mitch, you're getting married today. Normal people, do you know how normal people operate, or are you living in a cave on the beach and you've forgotten how civilization works? Normal people will wear something a little bit out of the ordinary on their wedding day, like the way you have on a tuxedo. She has on a dress. Lindy's, her name isn't Lindy, Kristen's mom asked him, what was your first impression of Kristen? And he tells the mother this, which I felt like he shouldn't have told her, but he tells the mother, oh, because I saw you walking down the aisle first and I thought that you were my wife. And then he didn't really say anything positive about Kristen. Instead, he says, I really don't believe in love at first sight. And then the mother asked him, I forgot what she asked him. And then he also went on to say, that I don't really believe in, like money and accumulating wealth. He goes, financial success is not a priority for me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we know, Mitch, because you arrived at your tuxedo fitting on a bike. Yeah, we understand that, material things and having money is not a priority for you. So Kristen does feel like an intense attraction for him. She does have, this like sexual attraction for him. And Mitch says that there's potential for attraction. And I think we've heard that a lot of times on Married at First Sight, when someone says, well, there's a potential there to be attracted, and usually those types of relationships go downhill very fast. The potential never materializes into a reality, and so they constantly struggle with that. But he says there's a potential for an attraction, but he doesn't really feel comfortable being physical with her on the first night. Kristen, she is ready to go. She is ready to go. She was ready to go, I guess, as soon as she laid eyes on him. So if he was in the mood, if he was of that persuasion, he would have no problem. But he doesn't really feel that attraction for her. So Kristen says that she is all the way in. Mitch, as we know, is a little bit more cautious. And I think Mitch will probably be happier on their wedding night, maybe just talking about the environment and picking up trash and not littering and conserving energy and windmills. Maybe that's what she needs to do to turn him on. Moving on to Lindy and Miguel. So Lindy was a little bit thrown off by Miguel's burgundy tuxedo. She said that it was very fashion forward. I was like, oh my God, Lindy. Okay, if you think that that tuxedo was fashion forward, then you have definitely lived a sheltered life. Because to me, that tuxedo was a little bit kind of, I don't know, old fashioned. But anyways, so but then she saw how attractive he was, and then she felt a little bit more relaxed. So they take pictures. I like their pictures. I like pictures, even though the photographer was like posing them, the pictures didn't come off as too posy, like too mannequin like. The poses that the photographer was putting them in, I was kind of like worried, like, oh my God, that's going to look like very stiff and uncomfortable and awkward. But then when they showed the photo, it looked natural. It looked like the photographer just caught a moment, and it didn't look very posy. So I like the pictures. They seem very compatible. There is definitely an attraction between them. They have their first dance, and this was Lindy's first dance ever because, she was very sheltered. She's never had a slow dance, not her first dance, her first slow dance ever, because of her upbringing being very sheltered. She wasn't allowed to do stuff like that. So it was very awkward for her. She didn't know where to put her hands on his body. He was trying to guide her. He was trying to make her feel comfortable. So I was glad that he was looking out for her. Lindy says that his energy is what she was hoping for in a stranger husband. I thought that was a weird comment, but I kind of see where she was coming from. She was like, if I have to marry a stranger, he's got the kind of energy that I would want, someone who makes her feel comfortable, because he does seem very easygoing. He seems to kind of like go with the flow. He doesn't seem like he's super duper nervous or he's super duper awkward. So, and he has this sense of, he does seem kind of serious, but he does have like a sense of calmness about him. They both speak Spanish. He asked her, do you speak Spanish? And she says, do you speak Spanish? And he does, and he speaks it fluently. And then she talks about how she went to Spain just to learn Spanish. And so she says, I speak a little bit of Spanish. And so she kind of tried out her Spanish, and it was really good. I wasn't expecting her Spanish to be that good. And he even was like impressed. He was like, wait a minute, that's really good Spanish. So she underestimated herself. But yeah, but she's an overthinker. So her idea of bad Spanish is probably, extremely fluent Spanish, but not like the king's Spanish. So yeah, her Spanish to me was really good. I didn't think that her Spanish was going to be that good. So Lindy, she says that, she was fangirling over her husband, and she keeps on talking about how, her wedding day is like the best day of her life. She really enjoyed herself. She has a conversation with Miguel's sister, and the sister tells her that their upbringing was pretty tumultuous. They practically grew up without parents because I guess their parents had a lot of issues. And even though they had a very troublesome childhood, the sister said that Miguel turned out great. You see how successful he is, and, he seems very well adjusted. So I kind of have an issue with Married at First Sight, but we all have issues. We all have problems, probably more of us have troubled childhoods than not. But I kind of have a problem with Married at First Sight picking people who have some type of trauma. I don't know if they do this on purpose because they want the marriage or the spouse to help them with their trauma, to make the trauma go away. I don't know what it is, but they like picking people who have gone through some stuff in life. And we just need to know, have they been through therapy? Have they tried to address these issues before you chose them for this show? Or do you just pick people who have the trauma, never got help for it, and then you kind of just cross your fingers and wish them well as they go off to marry a stranger? So we talk about the upbringing, and Miguel talks to Lindy's brother, and the brother asks Miguel, do you believe in a higher power? Because we know that they come from a very religious background. Lindy comes from a very, very, very strict religious upbringing. So the brother asks Miguel, do you believe in a higher power? And of course, this is a very loaded question. And the only answer that a person who's asking that question wants to hear is either yes or no. They don't want a dissertation or a thesis about believers, non-believers, or something in the middle. They don't want to hear that. Either you do believe or you don't. You're a believer or you're not. So Miguel goes into his thesis about how, you can't disrespect people for whatever they believe in, because we don't really know what the truth really is. So for the person who believes in Jesus and the person who doesn't believe in the existence of Jesus, we can't, what's the word I'm looking for? Not disrespect. We can't just kind of like dismiss them, because we don't know. I can't say, okay, you're crazy for believing in Jesus, because you don't know if Jesus exists or not. And you can't tell the atheist, you're crazy for not believing in Jesus, because you don't know. So he's more of the mindset of, we just don't know what's going on out there. So bottom line, the way the brother and the mother interpreted this was, okay, you're not a believer. And so the brother talks about how their hopes were for Lindy to be with a believer. Religion is important to her or to the family. And so that's what their hopes were. And when Married at First Sight is going through the selection process, I wonder, when it comes to religion, I got the impression from Lindy that she did grow up very religious, but she's kind of breaking away from that. From what I saw of her in the first episode, like she grew up as a believer, but maybe she's just kind of breaking away from that, kind of finding herself. So I don't think it should be that much of a problem if Miguel is not a believer. So I hope that's not gonna, because you don't want someone who's gonna every Sunday morning they're waking up and they're going to church and they're pressuring you to do the same when that's just not your thing. So I'm thinking that she is not like very much into the church life anymore. I don't know, but we shall see. But this is definitely a problem for the brother, and I think for the mother as well, that Miguel is not, cut from the same cloth as they are. So Miguel and Mitch run into each other in the bathroom, and the question was asked, they were asking each other, so what do you think about your wife? What do you think about your wife? Miguel was like, I'm really pleased. And Mitch said something like, oh, are you being like super cautious? Are you pleased but cautious? And Miguel's like, no, I'm all in. This is what I wanted. I'm not cautious about a damn thing. I am all in head first. And he asked the same thing of Mitch. And Mitch was like, yeah, I'm really happy. But I'm confused. I thought you weren't. Okay, moving on to Stassi, and Nate. Okay. So Nate, to me, has a very dominant personality, but you don't really know it right off the bat, because he kind of seems like this really easygoing California beach guy, California surfer kind of guy, real, laid back. But there is something about Nate, to me, that's like, he's got expectations and he expects them to be met. So Stacy's, she's into Nate. She loves her some Nate. She says that when they kiss, she gets butterflies. He's also just as attracted to her. They talked about ages. He asked her, so did you ask the experts for someone as young as me? Because I think he's like in his early 30s and she's in her late 30s. And she said, my age range was a little bit older. And I think she said 27 to, I don't know what she said, but he barely made the mark. He barely made the mark. And so then she asked him, what was the age range that you wanted? And he said 27 to 34. And she's actually 37. And so he said that Pastor Cal told him, well, if you want an independent, strong, boss lady kind of woman, you're not going to find that in a 27-year-old. So you might want to, increase your age range a little bit. So he increased it to 34. So I don't think it bothers him that she's 37. He made some comment about her age, and I don't think she liked it. But I don't remember what he said. So Stacy and Nate, they go. Oh, when Stacy went to go talk to his groomsmen, they asked her, "How do you feel about him having female friends?" So we know from previous episodes that Nate has a ton of friends, and a lot of them are female, and he's very close to his friends, including the female ones. And we saw a couple of them, and it appears to be very platonic. It appears to be like this is just a friendship thing. But the fact that this is like a reoccurring theme with Nate and Stassi kind of makes me wonder. So she's talking to his groomsmen. The groomsmen ask her, what do you think about him having female friends? And she says, I don't have an issue with him having female friends as long as they respect boundaries. And so the friend's like, okay, cool, no problem. So then we have another scene where both Stacy and Nate are talking to one of his female friends. And the friend talks about how the friend group is extremely close. They do a lot of things together. They have game night. They go hiking. They go hiking at sunset. And when she talked about hiking and sunsets, it made Stassi remember at the altar, the officiant said, that Nate really loves to go hiking at sunset. So when it was said at the altar, it made it seem like these are the things that he enjoys to do. I got the impression like they made it seem like these are the things that he enjoys to do with his significant other. But now you have his homegirl talking about, oh yeah, we go hiking at sunset. And I wonder if it made Stassi think, oh, I thought he liked doing that with his significant other, not with all of his friends, hikings at sunset. It seemed like that kind of seems like a romantic type of activity. But the friend was like, yeah, we do that all the time. And so it kind of made Stassi, to me, it looked like it made the wheels turn in her brain. So as the friend was talking, the friend seemed overly comfortable, talking about their relationship and saying, she said nothing negative. Everything she said was very positive. But you can tell that Stassi was kind of looking at her, with a really good eye. Like Stassi was like, okay, what's really going on here? Like Stassi was making some serious mental notes about this whole situation with this friend. And it kind of seemed like maybe the friends or the female friends may not understand boundaries, and like maybe she might have to step in and do some correcting because the way Stassi kept on looking at the friend as she was talking about all the stuff that they like about Nate, what Nate means to them, the things that they like to do with Nate, it kind of looked like Stassi was getting uncomfortable, and she was already making a note that, okay, when things go back to normal with us, we're going to, or when we find our new normal, I'm going to have to check out some things and make some adjustments with these friends. So Nate definitely feels the chemistry between them. He's talking to his homeboys, and one of the homeboys asks him, so what if she's the kind of girl that just wants to do missionary? And Nate said, well, I'll put her in the right position. And when he said that, I was like, okay, Nate. Okay, we see what you were all about. We kind of saw a little bit of it at the bachelor party with the way you had your hand behind that stripper's head, when you were feeding her whipped cream, force feeding her whipped cream. Stassi girl, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Because Nate's about to change your life. Moving on to Justin and Alexis. So Alexis made sure that her man was very warm and toasty because they were eating dinner. The whole, the weddings were outside. The reception was outside, but it was really cool. Almost like cold, the way people kept on talking about how cold they were. So Stassi was like, Garcon, can you please move these heaters closer because my man's cold. So she was making sure that, her man Justin was good. So they have dinner, and Alexis, she tells him that, she really likes him. And there was this scene where, they're sitting next to each other having dinner. And there was this one scene where she just was like staring deeply into his eyes. And she wasn't saying a word. She was just like staring at him. And he was like, why are you looking at me like that? And as soon I was like, okay, she's down. She is down for the cause. She loves her some Justin. So Justin's brother is very accepting now of this whole arrangement. There's a conversation between Justin and his brother. The brother was like, I'm really proud of you. I'm more accepting of this. And what helped him come around was having the conversation with Alexis, when Alexis reassured the brother that, you know, she's there to take care of Justin and protect his heart, etc. So, Alexis says in her confessional that she was a little bit unsure. And Alexis seemed kind of drunk, but she said that she was a little bit unsure when she was walking down the aisle. But after getting to know him, it seemed really silly for her to kind of judge the whole situation based on the lack of that initial attraction. But she says as she got to talk to him more, got to know him a little bit more, she is beginning to warm up to him tremendously. And she is feeling, you know, an attraction, a definite for sure attraction for Justin. So, you know, they do the whole traditional taking off of the garter, and, you know, he gets down on his knee. He made a whole production of it. He got down on his knees, you know, got his head under her dress and pulled that garter down with his teeth. So it looks like it's going to be going down. It's going to be on and popping later on. So Justin says that Alexis is 100% his type, and there is definite chemistry between them. And he says that she makes me feel wanted, and that's different for me. Justin is very smitten with some Alexis. That is my review of Married at First Sight. I really did enjoy the episode. I liked it a lot. I love the fun. I like it when it's fun and everybody's happy and the couples are clicking and the attractions are there and everybody's having a good time. I like that because it makes me think that they will be more willing to commit and more willing to work through their problems and more likely to say yes on decision day. And that is what I want to see. I want to see these marriages work. I want to see these relationships last way past decision day. And I want to see how they navigate the challenges of being married and living together and marrying a stranger. I want to see them navigate through that and to overcome those challenges. I don't want to see weirdos like the one who shall not be mentioned from season 14 Boston, you know, who didn't want to participate, didn't want to do anything, was just a big sourpuss from beginning to end. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that kind of drama. I don't want to see people cheating on each other, you know, 1 week into their wedding, into their marriage. I don't want to see husbands staying out all night long and wives at home crying all night. I don't want to see that. I want to see people who really are trying to make this work, who really have an attraction for each other physically, emotionally, mentally. They're there for each other. That's what I want to see. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me in this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please do not forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later.